Tonight's lesson is on subtracting positive integers. Here's the objective. I can understand that subtracting a number is the same as adding its opposite through the use of number lines. So let's look at the following example. Using vectors on a number line, find the solution. So this we've actually worked with. We've worked with 2 plus a negative 6. So I'd like you to pause the video, try it out on the number line, maybe try it out using your rules, and then come on back. All right, hopefully you paused the video. First of all, on the number line, it says using vectors. So I'll start here at 0, and I'll move to a positive 2. A positive 2. If no sign appears, we know it's positive, so we're going to move to the right 2. Then I look at the sign here. I'm like, oh, from there, I need to move to the left 6. So I'm going to move to the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I move to the left 6 units. And where am I at? I'm at negative 4. We could also have used our rules. Positive 2 plus a negative 6. Remember, circle the sign that goes with the number. Are those signs the same or are those signs different? Those signs are different. Positive is different than negative, so we find the difference. What does difference mean? Difference means to subtract. 6 minus 2 is 4. So I put down a 4, and then I ask, what do I have more of? Well, I have 2 positives, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. And then I say, oh, I definitely have more negatives. 2 of those negatives zero out the positive, and I'm left with 4 negatives. If you have more negatives, the answer will be negative. Negative 4 is our solution. So I'd like you to remember this problem when we go on to the next one. So we started with 2 plus a negative 6. Let's look at a different example. Now we're going to use vectors on a number line to find the solution of this expression, 2 minus 6. Well, first of all, we know we start at 0. The positive 2 says go 2 to the right. But now we're going to subtract 6. Well, on the number line, when we added a positive, we'd move to the right. So when we subtract a positive, we're subtracting a positive 6. To subtract a positive 6, subtracting a positive, we actually need to move left. If you subtract a positive, you'll move left on the number line. So we're subtracting a positive 6. So from 2, we need to subtract 6, which means we need to move to the left. Sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we end up at a negative 4. If we're subtracting a positive, that means we need to move to the left on the number line. This should look familiar to our last example. 2 to the right, 6 to the left, then we end up at negative 4. Notice when we subtracted a positive, we moved to the left on the number line. Does this answer look similar to the previous problem? It should. When we subtract a positive, this is the same as adding a negative. So 2 minus 6 is exactly the same as 2 plus a negative 6. And the last slide should have proved that to you. Let's do some practice. Let's take a look at 3 minus 7 on the number line. Okay, so the 3 is definitely a positive 3. That means I start at 0 and I move to the right 3. I'm subtracting 7. When I subtract a 7, that means I'm going to move to the left on the number line. So from that 3, I'm going to move to the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I end up right here at negative 4. So hopefully you're getting comfortable that when we subtract a positive that we need to move to the left. So that answer will be a negative 4. I want to just go ahead and simplify the following using our rules for addition of integers. I could do another number line if I want it, but I want to get using my rules. So you see we did 3 minus 7. I want to check if that's the same as 3 plus a negative 7. I want to see if subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative. Let's just double check. As I look here and I want to do 3 plus negative 7. The 3 is positive because no sign appeared in front. You circle the sign that goes with the number. That means the sign that's right in front of the number. Then you ask yourself, are the signs the same or are the signs different? Oh, those signs are different. If the signs are different, different signs, we find the difference, which means we subtract. So we say, oh, 7 minus 3 is 4. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 there. Then I say, what do I have more of? Because I need to keep what I have more of. Well, I had 3 positives, and I had 7 negatives. And I'm like, oh, I definitely have more negatives. My answer must be a negative 4. Remember, I tried, last couple of nights on the videos, hopefully, to when we see a positive and negative, those are inverses, additive inverses. We can just zero those out. And then you can clearly see you're left with 4 negatives. Our answer is negative 4. So signs are different with addition. You find the difference. So hopefully you can see 3 minus 7 ends up with the exact same answer as 3 plus a negative 7. It appears that subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative. Let's do some more practice. Let's take a look at 4 minus 9. Again, I can start at 0. I'm like, all right, I have to start by moving to the right 4 because I'm subtracting a positive. When you subtract a positive, we move left on the number line. When you subtract a positive, you move left on the number line. So from 4, you're going to subtract 9. We're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just going to count back. So that tells me 4 minus 9 is a negative 5. I just want to double check. Is that the same, if I use my integer rules, is that the same as 4 plus a negative 9? On the number line, we've just shown that 4 minus 9 ends up being negative 5. Now let's try, instead of 4 minus 9, let's try changing that subtraction to addition and taking the opposite of 9, which is negative 9. See if subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative. Let's take a look. Circle the sign that goes with the number. That means the sign right in front of the number. Are those signs the same or are those signs different? I can see that those signs are different. If those signs are different, I need to find the difference. That's alliteration from English class. Different, difference. Difference means I subtract, so I just do 9 minus 4. What's 9 minus 4? It's 5. Like, oh, yay, that's 5. Then I want to keep what I have more of. Well, I have 4 positives, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 negatives. What did I have more of? I definitely had more negatives. My answer needs to be negative. And you just remember, you can always take 1 positive, 1 negative. Those are inverses of one another. Those will zero each other out. How many negatives are you then left with? You're left with 5 negatives. Either way, you come up with the same answer. Let's try a few more. And if at any point you're saying to yourself, I'm ready to pause this video and try it out, you go ahead and do that. Let's practice with this one. Negative 2 minus 5. Okay. So now I need to start at negative 2. I need to start at 0 and go to negative 2. So if I start at 0 and I'm like, okay, I got to go to negative 2. And then from there, I'm subtracting a positive 5. When you subtract a positive on a number line, we move left. So I start at negative 2 there, and I move left. How many? I move left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Moving left 5 gets me to negative 7. So negative 2 minus 5 more must be negative 7. And again, every single time that I'm like, okay, let's try to double check that that's going to work with my integer rules for addition. So now I have, instead of negative 2 minus 5, I have negative 2 plus a negative 5. Is subtracting a positive the same as adding a negative? Circle the sign that goes with the number. That means the sign right in front of the number. Then you ask yourself, are those signs the same or are those signs different? Those signs are the same. Signs are the same. We find the sum. That's alliteration from English class. Signs are the same, find the sum. What's the sum? The sum's the answer with addition. So I say, oh, I have to do 2 plus 5. What's 2 plus 5? 7. Then I have to keep what I have more of. Well, let's see. I have 2 negatives and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives. Hey, wait a minute. Nothing can zero out. I actually only have negatives running around. I have 7 negatives. So therefore, I have to keep my negative sign. Let's try another one. Oops. Let's take negative 1 minus 3, and in just a moment, we're going to check if that's the same as negative 1 plus a negative 3. Again, if you're ready to pause the video, pause it. If you need some more work with me, stay with me. All right, negative 1 minus 3. So that means I go, okay, I have to go from 0 over to negative 1, and then I'm subtracting a positive. When I subtract a positive on the number line, I need to move to the left. I'm subtracting a positive, I'm moving to the left. So I'm going 1, 2, 3 to the left from that negative 1, ends up at negative 4. Minus negative 1 minus 3 more is negative 4. Let's check and see if that's the same instead of negative 1 minus a negative 3 if we did negative 1 plus a negative 3. Change subtraction to addition and change that 3 to a negative. Is subtracting a positive the same as adding a negative? That's the question we're trying to answer tonight. So with our addition rules, you circle the sign that goes with the number. You ask yourself, are those signs the same or are those signs different? Those signs are the same, so we'll find the sum. SSS. Signs are the same, find the sum. Oh, sum means to add. 1 plus 3 is 4. Then I have to decide, is it a positive 4 or a negative 4? I have to decide, what do I have more of? Well, I have 1 negative here. I have 1, 2, 3 negatives here. Hey, there's only negatives running around. I can't zero anything out. I definitely have more negatives. I'm left with a negative 4. All right, last question to ask. I need for you to take a minute, pause the video, try to write down the connection between subtracting a positive and adding a negative. 5 minus 3 is 2. Or could we look at that as 5 plus a negative 3 also gets us to 2. So I want you to take a minute, pause the video, try to do a write-up about that, and come on back. Here's the only write-up you really need to talk about. You need to say, subtracting a positive. For example, 5 minus 3 is the same as adding a negative. That's the same as 5 plus a negative 3. Either way, the answer is positive 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. 5 plus a negative 3. Signs are different. Find the difference. Keep what you have more of. So either way, 5 minus 3 or 5 plus a negative 3, the answer is 2. Subtracting a positive, let's just say for example, subtracting a positive is exactly the same as adding a negative. Hopefully this video helped you out. We'll see you tomorrow in class. Have a good night.